to get that unraveled. I've been working on that the last couple of days.
Sweet.
Zach, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well, JJ. How you doing?
Doing well, doing well. Thank you so much for having us. Much appreciated.
Yeah, of course. You guys are welcome here anytime. I've seen you guys in so many different AMAs and communities, and you guys are really killing it in the marketing side of things. So I'm super stoked to finally get to talk to you guys.
You
I
as well. There's nothing 100%. We love AMAs early kind of. I feel like that gives people kind of the view of the holistic view, and we can get into more granular details and things of that nature. So I think collectively we all just love AMAs for that reason.
Yeah, they're a great way to, get your presence out to a bunch of different people at the same time and at it on a really deep level as well, with answering questions and helping people understand really fundamentally what you guys are about and how it works and everything in between.
I also think like, you know, I'm a people person, and there's just like when you get into the whole social media aspect, a lot of tone can be lost because it's just a lot of typing. So having an AMA and being able to hear like the genuity in people's voices and their passion behind what they speak about or lack thereof, really helps, like, on the investor side of thing, or just as a listener, for you to kind of gauge kind of the level of quality of the people that are behind the projects in ways. I mean, yes, we're docs, so that helps too, but like in the projects that aren't and stuff, really all you can lean on is their voice if they offer it. So
Yeah, definitely. If you take like one person doing an AMA with like a monotone voice, they don't sound super excited about what they're talking about. Like they just they just aren't like contagious with the passion that they share with their project. They're not going to see the results, right? And similar to social
exactly.
media. And then if you take that same person and they sound super passionate and excited about their project and they're super stoked about what they're doing, they're going to see an astronomical result from sharing their vision with a bunch of people. It's definitely a great way to really get to know the people behind the projects that they're invested in. I think that, yeah, AMAs just provide that value.
For sure, for sure. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I see Chris now join the chat. He's going to be up on stage with me asking some of the questions.
Oh, awesome. What's up, man?
Sounds fantastic. Hi, Chris.
Yeah, whenever he clicks the join the
There you
stage button.
go.
Also, I just want to say thank you everyone here for joining us as well. I know I see a lot of familiar faces. Nate, thank you for making it. Find the Block, Astro, McFly. I know there's a lot of U Ridge is here, Ninja, all you guys that are always there by our side. Ray, thank you guys so much for being here.
Yeah, you guys got a passionate community. That's really impressive.
I think it just speaks to that connection again that you make. Even we see it within our team, where we're having team chats and people got their cameras on and there's kids in the background, and wives coming in, or things like that, or even husbands in that case. Like, it's really just a nice, kind of extra touch, personal touch, that you really feel that connection, that you don't have to hide kind of who you are in conducting business. I don't have to hide my daughter running on screen and stuff like that, because it's real life. And
Yeah.
we're real people at the end of the day. We have a vision. We may have some extra connections and things and networks that we can tap into, that maybe that other people were not able to tap into with their own projects or resources in that capacity. But outside of that, we are just as passionate investors of the space, monitoring the space, and really just want to see crypto be where it can be, but it's going to take some time. So we wanted to be a part of that process, and we're going through the trials and tribulations of a bloody market and everything else to kind of get to the other side. So it's a journey, but it'll definitely be one for like the Social Network movie kind of things down the line.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the passion that you guys have. And looks like Chris is here now, so
But
yeah, we could get started with introductions. get the ball rolling. So if you guys want to introduce yourselves and kind of your role at the team, that'd be awesome.
And I'll start since my mic's already live right now. I'm Daryl Terrazone, whatever you want to call it. I am in real life a pediatric ICU nurse. On the weekends, I literally have to go into work in a couple hours, and that's what I do in real life. But I kind of take the transitional skills of educating medical terminologies and things like that to different patients and families in an acute setting. So you really need to be mindful of the kind of how much the brain can process and what the information you're providing at that time, and repeating yourself and being like empathetic to the environment. And I take that tone and I take that transitional skill and I bring it over to crypto. I really want to see education really be pushed. I feel like the space is so new and there's so much of the monetary hype or the fluctuation in price that and the fast paced 24/7, never nonstop, never a moment for you to kind of take a pause, as we should be doing in this bear market, and really educating yourself and leveling yourself up. And I want to push those bounds, and that's kind of what my role is in the community aspect for 100 days. I'm behind the scenes, core wise. I write the Medium articles, the Git book, and things like that. So I'm everywhere you think I'm not, and everywhere I need to be in those crucial moments to really make sure that the community is as educated as it can be on what I'm allowed to say at the time, and getting that message and narrative out there is more so my position here. So I'll pass it to Harsh.
Gotcha.
Awesome, Daryl. Truly, Daryl is kind of an army in his own, where whatever we need Daryl to do, there's nothing that Daryl can't do, and that's kind of the magic that is Daryl. He really is that outreach for us. He connects our ideas, our thoughts to the community and everything in between. Now, as far as myself, my name is Arsh. I'm a co-founder of 100 Days, and for the background about myself, I am currently going to be enrolled at Princeton University. But before that, I kind of spent a lot of time kind of innovating in the neuroscience field. I have several published papers in that industry, as well as some financial papers and things of that nature. But my focus has always been kind of going into these complex topics or natures or things like that, and just really diving in headfirst and just understanding what we know and what we don't know about a space, innovating, researching, and just getting into the weeds of it, understanding fundamentally how does something work and what is making it work and what is making it not work. And that's kind of something that I've always done in the neuroscience field. And for me, kind of tapping into crypto is exactly that. Crypto is also that space where it's a very emerging market, but more importantly, it's a market where there's a lot of unknown facets to it. I feel like it's still a very early stage in some ways as well. It might have been growing a lot over the last couple of years, especially the last 2 years, but it's still in this very early phase, and watching it grow to kind of be part of that innovative process and bring over my knack from neuroscience and that ability to really dive into complex mechanisms and kind of bringing that to crypto, understanding that there's a lot we don't know, but kind of going through every vertical, learning all that we can leads to innovation, especially when you have a great team kind of working alongside. That's what matters to me. And that's kind of, for us, we enter the space to be unique. We want it to be very public and very real and authentic, that we will do whatever it takes to succeed, and the market conditions are what they are. We don't want to sit here and blame the market, but for us, it's kind of building what we can and growing to the ability that we can, and just to keep the foot on the gas always and to never stop working.
Gotcha. Yeah, I definitely like that. And usually I wait till closer to the end to kind of ask some of the community questions, but there's a question that's really relevant to now. And he asks, what brought you guys together and how did the project come to be?
I think that's a fantastic question. So there's also 2 more members of the core team that are not here today, and their name is Rohit and Tommy. Now, Rohit is bit on the business side for us. He has a lot of real-world business experience. He's been head levels at a lot of major Fortune 500 companies, as well as started his own couple startups and recently did a whole gym fitness thing, and he's had a lot of success there in the Seattle area. Tommy's kind of the head of our development of that nature. He's not sitting there actually doing the development itself. He oversees it. But that's kind of his knack. He's also the CTO of a publicly traded company. But for us overall, as to how we met, it's kind of a funny story. So Daryl was involved in a project called Metaverse Pro. He was the community manager there. The thing about Daryl, which I love, is he will always respond back to anyone and everyone. That's just who Daryl was as a person. He's always compassionate in that nature. So I was always messaging Daryl, kind of talking to him, and I loved what he brought to the space. The education focus, the being polished, and the things that in crypto that we don't see very much. And that's kind of what stood out to me on Daryl. Rohit is actually my uncle. For us, it's kind of, we were always in the crypto space, going through every vertical, going through everything, and we saw a knack to do something different, to do something real, and really tie in the business world to crypto. So that's how me and Rohit and Daryl got together. Then Rohit had a friend of his who's actually here right now, who was able to connect him to Tommy. And the rest is history. We all kind of bonded over our knowledge and over our love for this space and thought we could do something different. And that's where it sprung up to where we are now.
Gotcha. Yeah, I like it a lot. I think that is a great way to kind of get everybody together and on board. It sounds like you guys have a pretty knowledgeable team, especially with the business side of things too, having a guy that's actually on the CTO on a publicly traded company. I mean, that's pretty huge. It looks like we got Chris with us now. Chris, are you there?
Yep, I'm here. Sorry about that. I had some issues come up.
That's all
All
good.
good, man. All good.
Glad you're here. But yeah,
Yes,
now
sir, I'm glad to be here and hear about everything going on with you guys. There's been a lot of stuff that I've been hearing from people around, so it's really nice to hear from, from the actual project itself.
Thank you, Chris.
yeah, we can jump into a little bit. I'm assuming most people here are already familiar with what you guys are and how you guys operate. So if you want to just do like a brief overview of what 100 Days Ventures is and how it works, and then we can jump into the nitty gritty of things from there.
Sure. So 100 Days is an auto-staking project. We offer a 1.91% daily APR. But for us, really, the thing is kind of using this as a vehicle in motion. I never want to market us that way because for us, we feel that this is just a bridge to get to market. But we really want to be revenue centric. Now, what that means to us truly is tying in real world companies, real world businesses, and bringing them as strategic partners into the crypto world. Now, this is something that we've already done through our partnership with Little Orbit, particularly the Ethereum title STFU. But the whole nature of us, and really what the main point that I always want to make is that we are going to tie business into crypto and do our best to make business kind of work at the speed of crypto. Because in business, we have this kind of the way it works where you have your quarterly earnings report and things of that nature where you can't see how the business is doing in real time. There's no way to feel that as an investor or anything like that. And that's really what we want to do for these real world companies that always see the promise of crypto but don't feel a way to get in. And we just want to be that partner for them to bring them in. But from the investor standpoint, where if a company is doing well, you can really feel the effects of that right away. Kind of focused on that with utility and real world revenue, where you have revenue where we are in a bear market or a bull market or anything in between, where there's these companies with true revenue streams that don't matter on this market. They matter on external markets, and kind of bringing them into the crypto landscape. And this is a venture that we call New Growth. We also have another venture which is kind of a resurrection, where we work with other projects that are not doing well or are missing a knack here. They're missing a real world company connection or some kind of marketing or some kind of development and different things of that nature, but kind of being their strategic partner and helping them, either us personally helping them or connecting them with other projects. But we really want to make this a whole platform and really a connection platform all powered by our Astro token. Because for us, it's just kind of focused on how to bring different revenue streams and utility to the core token. Because for us, this APR, APY, and these taxes, all of these things are a means for a vehicle right now, but they're not the vehicle that we want to be focused on. We want to be focused on real world revenue through utility, but really focused on bringing big corporations into the crypto world.
Gotcha. I think that is definitely a huge avenue that is opening up right now, is, bringing those real world businesses into the crypto world to operate and bring in all of what they have to offer into the crypto world as well, and kind of merging those two worlds. I think over the next 2-3 years is going to be kind of the next big thing, and at least that's just my opinion, of course, but I think that you guys are definitely aligned with that vision without a doubt. And a question I had was, what is kind of those utilities that you want to bring in, like specific utilities that you plan to kind of merge those two worlds together?
So we have on our platform as well as our website and stuff like that an ecosystem view standpoint that we've kind of put out there that was very much more inclusive in regards to the fields in which we hope to tackle through. in regards to utility. So on there's things like real estate, enterprise, SaaS. There's supply chain we were actually missing on there, but we did mention it in an AMA thereafter, so we need to update that as well too. We obviously have the Web 3.0 gaming functionality and concept with Little Orbit, and that does not mean that's the only one that we have in the works to work with, or metaverse style games and things like that. So really, if you ever get a chance to look at our Git book and look at the ecosystem view, even though we have our roadmap that has sort of the crypto features and functions we want to explore through, we have the real world roadmap in a sense through the ecosystem view that kind of talks about the verticals that we want to touch upon, and making sure that all of those verticals have revenue generation to come back to the project. And those fields were not arbitrarily picked either. They were ones that we've kind of already started the ball rolling on a few of them to get rolling, and that's why we felt confident to put those on the ecosystem view. They're just utilities and metrics, and obviously we know Little Orbit is a real world company, multi-million-dollar gaming company, and bringing kind of like getting through the legalities of the technicalities as far as technology is concerned, the legal aspects and government regulations are concerned, where we're dealing with these real world partners, is kind of what drags the process a little bit. But like you just said, 2 to 3 years from now, these being able to do what we're attempting to start with and do now will really be revolutionary and necessary for the space as a whole and going forward. So that's what excites me about what we're working on here.
It's like a lot of these kind of industries that we're focused on, something like SaaS or things of that nature, they're not the most sexiest kind of thing, supply chain. However, these are volume games. These are games that, not games in the sense they're real world utilities that we all need to function on, that there's a lot of real world corporations working on, and there's a lot of things that blockchain from a technology side can really take them to the next level, and kind of that integration of crypto from a tracking perspective. There's a lot of interesting things we could do there, but kind of it's the whole nature of, although these are not the sexiest things in the world, they have a high volume, and if 100 Days is involved with that, and we're the ones bringing them to the crypto market, and all of our partnerships are revenue centric. For us, it's kind of looking past as to what a partnership is meant in crypto, where it's kind of you shout us out here, you shout us out there, and that's in tune a partnership. Yes, there's a time and place for that. I'm not saying those things aren't necessary to cross wire communities and things of that. However, for us, it's really at the end of the day is how can we have revenue and utility, and something like SaaS, it gives us the opportunity to have a high volume business that we're able to take a cut on. And there's several industries that were involved on that level because we believe there's real world companies that we can take to market through crypto and just simply take a cut off the volume perspective of a lot of these corporations.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that is definitely a good outlook to have on, and a point of view to have on kind of merging the two worlds together. Another question I have is, you mentioned that the Astro token and offering the APY and the way that you have it set up now is really just a vehicle to get that ball rolling. How do you guys manage to, or plan to kind of manage that little merge that's going to happen from this kind of DeFi degen token almost? I don't mean that in a disrespectful way by any means, but into a real world asset backed token.
Totally. And for us, at the end of the day, it all comes down to having those revenues and those utilities kind of there. And in the next couple months, I mean, we'll be having, right now we've announced our Little Orbit partnership, and we're working on several others. Now, I know Daryl talked about is kind of how long that process takes because there's legal aspects involved and there's a profit sharing mechanism and other things of that nature that take true time when you're working with real world corporations. That we love crypto time. We call ourselves, we are on metaverse time, where we work 24/7, 365. Weekends don't exist in this world. We know that. And we work like that and function like that. But the fact of, no matter how fast and how bad we want these corporations to come, even while having partnerships with them and knowing that they're coming to us, it takes time to hash out those details. And when we come and bring these partners to market, we really want to have all those details for our community, which is why that has taken so long. But truly for us, it's the nature of how fast and how relevant can we make it from a revenue standpoint.
Oh, it looks like we lost him.
We lost him. I'll pick it up.
All right.
Alley-oop. Oh, that was funny. He's back. He's back.
I invited him to speak.
I was ready to
That's
out.
funny. That was perfect.
Sorry about that, guys. Not sure what happened.
It's
But
all
for
good.
us, is kind of when we make that flip over. I'm not sure if I cut off or anything there. But for us, when we make that flip over, it's going to be when that revenue, that utility is there, which will be there in the next couple months, where you'll see those real world partnerships actually net out revenue for us, and there be utility with the core token, and all of that. Once it's kind of here in the coming months, we will go ahead and make a whole model as to how we're flipping that and what that process entails. But right now, we're focused on the aspect of we do have a fixed rate, and we are there now. But for us, it's kind of, as I mentioned, is this is the vehicle. It will not always be like this, and it won't be like this. We're talking a year down the line. I can promise you it's not going to be like this. For us, it's just kind of making sure that real world revenue, those real world aspects are there, which will be there in the coming months. And then we'll kind of talk about what that model and what that flip entails.
Gotcha. I got one more question, and then I'll hand it over to Chris and stop hogging the stage. But what exactly does that partnership with that company look like, and how does that bring in revenue to the Astro ecosystem?
Totally. So as far as Little Orbit right now, currently that partnership is focused on a couple of things, but kind of where we are right now. For us, it's first to kind of help them bring their NFTs to market. They have this game title called STFU, which is Ships That Fight Underground, and they have this NFT side to their business, and we're looking to be the exclusive partners of those NFTs. And for that, we know how OpenSea takes, I think it was a 2.5% cut or something of that nature. For us, it's just taking a substantial more portion than that. And all of that revenue generated goes back to the treasury, it goes back to our holders in one way or another for a multitude of aspects. But for us currently with STFU, it's just about getting their NFTs out there, and for us taking a substantial cut of them, significantly beyond 2.5%. But this is just kind of the elementary level to test out a relationship. But for us, as we have several more things planned for that. An aspect is some kind of tokenomic distribution when we help them launch their token. They will have their own token, STFU, and we will be taking a percentage of that tokenomic share. And another aspect being that with their game STFU, we hope to have 100 days, particularly in Astro, integration in there with some capacity as to what that currently is as that game is being developed here. And will be done in the coming months. We'll be figuring that out. I can't get the details on that specifically, but it's kind of that crawl, walk, run approach. The crawl is this NFTs. The walk is kind of launching their token, having a tokenomic distribution, and the run being some kind of Astro integration into the game.
That's an interesting way to like kind of go about it. I like the analogy. So I don't mean to cut you off if you did have like a follow up, Zach. But if not, I kind of want to go into back to what you said about being that bridge between crypto and conventional business, because I think that's one of the biggest things that is right now kind of starting to be addressed, but at the same time that use case going back and forth from the modern world to this crazy technological advancement in the past couple of years has not been exactly bridged. Some, like I said, some groups are attempting to, and then you guys are here trying to be that bridge as well. So what have you guys done so far that separates you from other projects as far as connecting to businesses and that kind of thing?
I'll start off because I wrote the article on it, but very first and foremost, you see our faces on here. That just you're never gonna have a real business. I don't care what your treasury is, that's going to want to partner with and believe in you if you're hiding behind a bunny rabbit PFP and a gamer tag. That's just not going to work. And so, like businesses want to get into the space. They just need either the assistance as far as the development side of it, or they need the assistance as far as like the platform that represents and benefits what they're trying to do. And we believe that we are setting ourselves up to be exactly that. It helps when we have Tommy, who has a publicly traded company. So again, we don't say we're bringing crypto to business as some models like to use. We're bringing the business world to crypto because we already have the personnel, the network, and those kind of things that are business minded. So it's easy for them to have a conversation with us and be able to kind of hash out or understand that, hey, I can't just arbitrarily say anything I want to say about Little Orbit or some of the intel if it hasn't been publicly released, going through those kind of filings or going through legal team aspect, writing an article on Little Orbit and our connection and partnership and stuff like that could take like 4 weeks to be processed. We've been live for 2. So, the crypto world in that aspect, their time frame and functionality on when they expect turnaround is very much different than what is legally possible to do. But as we get that first one hashed out, as far as like the details and having Matt come on, Matt is the CEO of Little Orbit, and having him come on again and provide those details and intricacy, because it's just cooler to hear it from the CEO of the company rather than just people online, even though we see our face saying that we have these kind of revenue structures. It's really cool to hear it from them, and we have that ability to do that. So let's do it. And then as we continue to announce more and more partnerships, I think once they start to see that and how it's impacting their wallets as Astro holders, we'll be able to kind of get that ability and kind of, I don't want to say respect, but more like understanding that sometimes there might not be an announcement every day or every week in regards to updates, because it just takes longer in the traditional space. And we are doing our best we can to work on providing a middle ground of properly educating and communicating that aspect as well as the other. So truly, to get back to your question, I think what we offer that's different from anything else is the experience, the networking circles, the public docs, and how we just kind of communicate and address and speak to our community is just a bit different than what I've seen personally in the space.
I love that answer on the whole doxing bit. I think, to me personally, when I do see a project that one refuses to be doxed, or even, I mean, KYC I can understand because there's a cost to it. I can understand, but at the same time, doxing is going to be even better than KYCing because it's a public doxing. Um, and that cost absolutely nothing. And so it's crazy to me that some projects do that, and it does, you lose a lot of credibility, and people say that they're scared about it or whatever, but it's kind of, it's a little bit questionable when people say that kind of stuff, because it's like any kind of business ever has had to do something like that. So it's a crazy notion to be like afraid that someone knows your name, right? Like, and a lot of it is people just hiding behind that, that answer that's very common now. So I love your guys' answer on that.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks. And that's kind of our point is, let we can be real.
Hmm.
The market right now is rough. We doxed ourselves without any sort of success behind it from a crypto standpoint, from a 100-day standpoint. So we were not like, oh, we're gonna be the greatest thing since sliced bread and then tell you our names because we want the credibility. We were like, hold us accountable, and we're holding ourselves accountable. We placed our names on this. We can't go anywhere. There's no, oh, I'll just delete this Discord and make a new one. This is our name. We put our name on a project, and each and every one of us has this sort of notion where I grew up, and not to drag this out, but like my mom would literally make me erase and rewrite my homework if it was sloppy because I did it on the bus ride home. And her notion was, you put your name on you put your name on that assignment. Your name is a reflection of who you are. That's the first thing that people think of when they see your work. So have pride in your work and whatever you put your name on. And we bring that same notion and story and mindset to this space. We're not afraid of this bear market because we know we're bringing real world utility. It was never an overnight aspect. It was never going to be that. It would have been nice to not do it 2 days before Luna died, but
That's how everyone's feeling right now.
it doesn't change the work that we know will be done, and then the sheer fact of being able to bring in real world partners that is revenue generating, that has nothing to do with crypto, makes a scary notion that we have the chance to eventually, when we have these revenues coming in from all these different markets, be an altcoin that's not at the grasp of Bitcoin dominance, not at the grasp of crypto sentiment. Because if crypto's in a bear market the next 2-3 years, but we have revenue generating and real world gains and real estate and supply chain and enterprise and all these other avenues that are not impacted by what Bitcoin is doing, we set ourselves up to be a very interesting project. So the trials and tribulations right now are battle wounds and that kind of thing, but it definitely, if what pressure forges diamonds, and being able to handle this market and handle the space means that during a bull run, none of our community should be concerned about how we can handle ourselves, because we've showed it and where the real testimony is, which is during the bear market.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. You don't really get tested until you start to hit that, 6 months into the bear market, see what projects are still even around or spoken about. I do really like the outlook there. Kind of branching off with the whole business side of things. So where are you guys looking as far as, any businesses in specific that you guys can talk about that you're, you know, partnering with so far or about to partner with, anything that you're able to, because I know it does get a little more complicated in the business world. So if you're not able to bring anything up, just some kind of like general details or that kind of thing.
I'm gonna let Arch take that so I don't say too much.
You got it. You got it. So what I can say is from an overall kind of talking about the industries real quick. For us, is the different. I can't speak to an exact company that we're bringing to market right now. Right now, the only partner official we have is Little Orbit on that standpoint. But as far as on the railroad side, the industries we're focused on, of course, is DeFi, Web 3.0 gaming, which is Little Orbit, enterprise, SaaS, metaverse, supply chain, real estate, eco, as well as health and lifestyle. Those are the kind of industry focuses we have on the non-crypto side and the businesses we're trying to bring to market. Now, for us, as we spoke about, is we hopefully should have these Little Orbit details very soon. Unfortunately, Matt is sick, so we're just kind of waiting on that to get him on an AMA and things of that nature to have it be officially aired out in a very nice way where we go over, here's a PowerPoint, here's what that partnership is, this is what it isn't, but more importantly, this is how it helps our Astro holders, and kind of going through the motions with that, followed up with an article. We'll be having that with Matt very soon. But kind of on the sidebar is, we are absolutely at our core all about bringing business into crypto, but an aspect also has to be his crypto partnerships, because that is a space that can move a lot faster. So right now, that's kind of the nature we're dialing into while we kind of get these details with Matt out there, and kind of we fine tune our other partnerships with all those details that we're working on things like real estate, things like SaaS. We have a couple things in the works there, which will be here before we know it. I mean, in this time, we know how fast the crypto space moves, but we will have those partnerships very soon. But right now, we're kind of focused on the crypto partnerships a little bit and seeing what we can do there. We are very perfectionist in that way, and we only want to partner with very certain projects, which is kind of put us in a different spot, because us being as publicly dotted as we are, we really have to be careful who do we associate ourselves with and who do we partner with. Does it really help our project? Does it really do something? Or is it kind of just boring and really nothing substantial? So for us right now, that's something we're dialed into. We have a few proposals that we've done that we're kind of going through the motions with, kind of figuring out, is this something that makes sense for both parties? Because at the end of the day, a partnership truly has to benefit both parties. If only one partnership is only one side is benefiting, it's not a partnership in my eyes, and more importantly, it's not something that can work long term. So that's kind of where we're bridged at right now, and we have some exciting things there. We're just trying to figure out as to make both parties happy and make sure we're solid there. And again, is when we announce something, we want to announce it with the details. We don't want to just go and say something and then, it kind of changes. It's like, this is like a month out. No, we want to come out really polished with everything we do, just like we did with Matt, where we have the CEO or the CEO of another project or whatever it may be, but has some structure and things of that nature with it.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Yeah, I definitely do see that a lot more on the business side of things than obviously in the crypto space. There's a lot of empty promises that some have been at least attempted to be filled, but a lot of them just never even get touched up on. So that is definitely a unique part of your project. I do like the fact that you guys are kind of trying to you're not only trying to bring business to crypto, you're also trying to act as that business side. So it's something that is very, very unique, I'd say, about projects right now in the crypto space. No one is trying to act like like any type of business. Everyone is trying to, like that. You don't want to go too far on one end or the other end. You want to find like a solid middle ground. So I do like where you guys are sitting at right now.
Exactly. And then another aspect becomes is like the people and moreover the projects that are trying to come into crypto and tie real world businesses, they try to do it in a very different way. They try to be VCs or things of that nature. Now again, there's a time and place for that, but that's not the angle we want to take. We're just trying to merge the crypto and the business world, bringing them to market to crypto and having that revenue generation and that everything that the company's doing have the real-time effects on a crypto side. And that's really what we want to do and have that revenue utility alongside that processing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you guys have a very, very unique way of thinking about things, especially for the crypto space. So I do really appreciate that. It's a fresh breeze among everything that's kind of going on right now in the crypto atmosphere. I do think that a lot of people are also like, sorry, going back real quick, I do think a lot of people are also waiting to hear. I forgot to kind of address this, to hear about, what the first crypto project is that kind of strays away from Bitcoin's patterns of rising and falling. Is there anything that you guys are doing specifically right now outside of play to earn? So I know you said that you were looking into real estate, all these different avenues, kind of moving outside of crypto as well. But is there anything that you are currently looking at? Or are you sticking more to the play to earn for the time being?
So we are not focused on a play to earn in any aspect. Yes, that's our partnership with Little Orbit, but for us, it's kind of being involved in all of these industries and behind the curtains, as I mentioned, is kind of being the strategic partnership to these companies, and that's something we've kind of already started the processes with. And being that strategic partner and helping people develop their tokenomics, develop their notion of how they want their product to be, kind of learning from us as to, on our standpoint, what have we seen work in the market? What have we not seen work in the market? And things of that nature. So we already are strategic partners on quite a few real world companies, and we're helping them develop their whole tokenomic nature, development, things of that nature. We're helping with. But as to far as what we can speak on now, we can't kind of reveal those companies. But what I can say from an industry standpoint, it's really right now is real estate. We're doing some things as well as SaaS. Those are two things we're really working behind the curtains on from a functionality perspective, and bringing those to market through us with time.
Okay, gotcha. Zach, I'm not sure if I've now been hogging up the stage a little bit. I don't know if you have anything specific that you wanted to ask. I have a couple more, but
Yeah, I've got a few questions. First one, kind of a straying away from the whole business and crypto aspect. Where did you guys get the name 100 Days Ventures?
So for us, really, the name is about kind of the power of 100 days in the real world, where 100 days into a new job or education or college or high school or starting a new class or a passion or a hobby, but rather the significance that lies in the first 100 days, how much you learn, how much you really grow as a person, and more importantly, how much you can take away out of that experience. And kind of the knack is every 100 days you evolve into that nature. Whether you're playing basketball for 100 days, after that first 100 days, that next set of 100 days, your perception on that sport is a bit different because you've been around the block. But really, the power it lies in is the nature of adaptivity and things of that nature really speaks to the power of 100 days. And that's what we want to harness. And that's kind of what the overarching name 100 days is about. Now, as far as our ticker, Astro, that is kind of the aspects of two things. One, my dog's name is Astro. I love my dog, but my dog's name is Astro. But another aspect is kind of what an Astro is, right? And how the power is kind of that whole space theme, that overarching thing that you're reaching for the sky, you're doing something different. Not that whole moon boy thing, but really that overarching thing of reaching for something that seems unattainable, but working towards it between the power of everything else supporting you to get there. And that's really what it's about to us with the whole nomenclature of everything.
Gotcha. I think that's got some really powerful meaning behind it too. I didn't think of it in that light. So yeah, super cool to hear about. And then the other question I had was, what are your plans as far as the APY on the token goes? Because it's not really a question of is it sustainable or is it not sustainable. It's kind of a question of how long is it sustainable for, whether that's a day or a year or 2 years, whatever that may be, before it's just going to not be sustainable. Because I think all of us can agree that 2% a day, sure, that can be sustainable for a little bit, maybe a little while, but eventually you get to the point where you're compounding trillions of dollars, and that just is not possible. So what's kind of your plans there?
Absolutely. It's kind of the notion of, we understand, yes, inflation is a thing, and you can't, if you're inflating at that rate every day, eventually that's unsustainable, right? And understanding that it doesn't matter how much revenue you're truly making from a sustainability standpoint, you're not going to make enough revenue to sustain that forever. And we are very much in the clear and understanding of that. For us, as I mentioned earlier, was kind of using this as a vehicle to get to market, to get into motion. And once we have these revenue streams in the coming months, and really once those are predominantly there, which would not be, we're talking a couple months, if not less, that's when we flip over. As to what percent do we flip over to and when do we cut it off completely and things of that nature, time will tell, and we will be very clear and always get our community's kind of eye on it. We don't want to do anything without kind of being in tune with our community, seeing what they feel as strongly on, what are they liking, what are they not, and things of that nature. But for us, it's really flipping the date once we have that revenue streams. I don't want to put a date on it, but we're talking months here as to when that will be flipped over to a different model in that sense.
Gotcha. Definitely like that you guys are thinking about that, because some people are just saying, we actually had a few projects on here say like, yeah, we got a 2% a day ROI that's sustainable, and we promise you guys that we're going to bring in enough revenue, and it's just like, come on guys, like that's not possible. So I'm glad that you guys are aware of that at least.
I think the delicate part about it, and what we've been saying in AMAs and what we feel is like, when you talk supply chain, when you talk gaming transactions and things like that, you're talking about hundreds or thousands or millions of transactions throughout the year. And if we have a revenue model that is making revenue based off of those individual transactions day in and day out that are not stopping, whether no matter which way you look at it, then what the right thing to do is be able to kind of convert and switch over that model from giving the incentive of revenue being in the token distribution to being in the revenue distribution of these other projects. And that way, it's one thing to be like, hey, the inflation's too high, it's unsustainable, we have to reduce, which is like, well, then why did you even start doing it that way if you know that was going to happen? Aspect, the bear market has definitely made it a lot harder in that capacity, but the sheer notion and concept is that investors' model may have been, or reason for investing may have been, the APY in that capacity. And so you want to make sure that you're empathetic and delicate in the way in which we switch that over to revenue, but it's now no longer in token, it's now in actual value. And by that drives up the value of your token as well, that you got to earn this entire time as holders. So like it's a win-win.
And even stacking on that is kind of the whole breadbasket of it. For us, as I mentioned, is we're bringing these other tokens and companies and products to market, and we will always be receiving some kind of tokenomic distribution to that. And part of that is definitely going to the holders always, where not only are you always receiving Astro token, you could be receiving whitelist if that's a faucet, or just directly tokens itself in all cases, where you are involved with the other products that we're supporting and the revenue that we're generating from. You're involved in those communities as well, because at the end of the day, it's all part of our 100 Days umbrella. Now, I know you were saying something there, Chris. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. I was just going to ask if you could elaborate a little bit more on the whole transition, what that would look like if you guys do have some kind of model spelled out. I don't know if we've touched up on that yet. Like what the transition from, the end of the, because you said it would last, several months or however long, but like obviously you'll be in communication with your community and that kind of thing. What would the end of that time look like? Like, let's say we were hitting the end of the couple months, or however long it does last. What would the process be to either switch from that or go to something else, or go into the revenue that you had touched up on?
Sure. So as far as an exact kind of detailed outlook as to what that entails, I can't speak on that yet, but as I kind of was alluding to before, is once that revenue there is truly there in the coming months, and once we're having all of that there, we'll kind of although we're not at DAO in any capacity, we'll kind of put it out to our community. This is how we're looking to do the model. This is how we're looking to shift it. And we put that option out there for our community, and maybe two different kind of lights as to how we're thinking on it. We already have the plans on that nature, and kind of speak to the community at that point. This is where our revenue is at. You guys can see the revenue coming in, and this is the flip we would like to make. Is this a process that you guys can stand behind? Is there any kind of improvements or improvisation, things of that nature that you guys have? Because I think a lot of people in the crypto space, we all kind of see the community and we see it for what it's worth. We see some positives and we see some negatives, but I don't think that as a whole unit, we tap into our community and the knowledge that our community has. That yes, we are the innovators, yes, we're the core team, or whatever you want to call it, but our community is very smart and they know their stuff as well. And there's always a value add that they can have, so kind of tapping into that. But kind of going back to your question, for us, it's kind of getting the revenue, getting the utility out there, And with that, kind of going into our models that we have in play there. But as to publicly speaking on those models, we can't do that at this time because right now we're kind of focused on just getting those out there, getting the partnerships out there and things of that nature. And in the coming months, when it's time to make that flip, there'll be a lot of communication, and hell, we can even have another AMA or something on that. And even before that, kind of speaking as to what that process entails and the education around that. But right now, truly, we are focused on where we are right now, which is our APR rate that we have currently, and just honing that in and getting the revenue right now for it.
Okay, gotcha. We'll have to see kind of where everything's at in a little bit then.
Yeah,
Zach, do you have
I got
anything
one last
specific?
question before we can turn it over to audience questions. So if anybody wants to ask anything, you can go ahead, put it in the AMA questions text channel. But kind of an open-ended question here. What is your biggest hardship so far, or what has that been, and how have you guys overcome that?
Sure, and I can speak for myself, and then Daryl can speak as well. For us personally, is because we want to innovate at the speed of crypto. There is nothing I want more than to announce a partnership every day or every week or whatever, and kind of understanding the nature of and working with the companies that we are, where it's like we can push really hard and really want to get these things done now. But ultimately, it's because they're such revenue generating, because they're such large corporations, no matter how fast we want to move, it doesn't move in days. It takes weeks and the occasional month. But it's kind of that the symptom of that, where you want everything instant gratuity here, especially with the market how it is. You really want those revenue channels to kick in. So for me, is kind of the struggle of understanding that what we need from a community side and a project side is that revenue. But what we need from a business standpoint is to make sure they're strategically, their products are done the right way, the tokenomics are done the right way, they're brought to market the right way, and kind of saying that yes, we need to move 100 miles an hour, but it has to be strategic and it has to be in tune with what they're doing, what we're doing, and really bridging that gap. So for me, it's really the speed, because I personally love the crypto pace and love to work at that pace. And it's a struggle that companies can't always do that, but kind of encouraging them, working with them, and just trying our best to work with them to move as quick as they can, and really understanding that. For me personally, that's a bit of a struggle, but it's just a nature of it takes time, but that time is worth it at the end of the day when it has real substance. And really just focus on having substance in what we're doing, whether it's utility, revenue, but make it meaningful. And that's really where my head is always at. Now, I'm sure Daryl can speak on his end as well.
How dare you talk about communication and community right now? That's my realm. I mean, it even goes to show in the way in which I announced our AMA for today. I put a little notion, a little motivational thing in there, and you know, the gist of it was more so utilizing this time period to educate yourself and become better at what you're doing or your knowledge of the space right now, because nothing's really moving. So you could either, you know, cry about it or be upset about it or feel like it's doomsday, or you can use it as an educational point to learn from it. I remember when the crypto market crashed. I'm sorry, no, not when the crypto market crashed, when everything crashed with COVID back in March 2020. And you know, even work was slow because, you know, being with kids, the kids were not going to school and activities and things like that really get them sick. So it was like, okay, well, I have extra time on my hands. What do I do? Well, I decided to learn more about crypto, learn more about the stock market, investing, 401ks, things like that. Like I utilize that time to educate myself to be better. Whereas I know some people who just kind of sat there and was like, "Woe is me," or "I've watched everything on Netflix. Now what?" You know, use the time to elevate yourself as a whole. So to get back to the question itself, is more so trying to figure out how to get people to educate, because that's my biggest thing, to educate on how to navigate yourself in this space right now, and also uh, kind of like, you know, kind of trying to figure out just how to communicate what we're doing, what we're able to communicate from a legal standpoint, because I want to just tell everything. That's just me. I'm an open book all the time, but you know, we do have to be mindful that there are legal parameters in which how we do things. So I can't always say just anything that I may be aware of, but it's not necessarily something that we can make public knowledge yet. So it's like that's a gift and a curse in that aspect, and finding the right way to navigate that space. Like, yes, people are concerned about the market, are concerned about. We've said partnerships for a couple weeks now, and like, where is it at? But it's like we've also only been live for 2 weeks, so like or going on 3. So like just that notion of finding that sweet spot where we've given enough but not too much information when it comes to the updates. I don't want to tell you every week, hey, I reached out to Coinbase or crypto.com to get us listed. Still waiting. Next week, still waiting. I've re-pinged. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's not updates. So it's for me the hardest thing or the most challenging thing is finding what is that sweet spot to be able to um communicate effectively and transparently in a way that is meaningful so you care about it and you're not just silencing the server because it's too many pings or scared because there's not enough. So that's a day-by-day process for me personally, just trying to really find out what that sweet spot will be, and we're working on bettering that day in and day out.
Gotcha. I like those answers, and I think that it's just a fun question to ask because obviously, running a project similar to yours is no simple task, and there's hardships that pop up left and right that are unforeseen, and it's always good to hear about the good and the bad. So I like the way that you guys think for sure, think through those issues. All right, we can move on to some community questions now. Got a couple from McFly22. His first question is, would love to hear more about the Tomb Fork idea.
I'm definitely going to handle
I completely could not find the unmute button for a minute there. So that is kind of what I was speaking to earlier, which is the crypto partnerships angle. And we have an interesting integration that we believe works for both parties, that we really fundamentally believe in. But for us, as I spoke to earlier, is making sure that they're the right partnership for both parties, right? This partnership truly would be mutually beneficial for both parties, but also kind of understanding as to where are they at from their space and where are we at from our space. And if we don't partner with that exact project, do we partner with another that may not be at the magnitude and greatness of that one that puts us at a different risk statement? For us, it's just kind of navigating as to what we want to do there. We have a really interesting idea that can be truly mutually beneficial for both parties. And when or if that happens, I will actually be able to walk you guys through a whole pitch deck as to kind of the ideology behind that, as to where my head was at kind of for both parties and things of that nature. But right now, it's kind of up in the air as to making sure that it truly is beneficial for both parties and that the parties that we want to work with on it are interested on it. And right now, we're just playing that by ear. I'm seeing where we lie, and this is kind of where I speak to as to we could say a lot of these things that are in the works, even from a railroad side, being strategic partners on the real estate and other things. We can definitely speak to it. But it's kind of being careful on how we speak to it, where I don't want to put something in fact or in stone, and then it's like, oh, it didn't happen, or oh, it happened differently, and it becomes interesting. So as far as that exact thing, I think that's something that personally I am excited about. I really want it to happen. I can't speak to as if it's done or not, because right now it isn't, but I think that integration, if we're able to make it happen, will be really interesting, and our holders would really love it. It would be something new and innovative to the space. So I hope we're able to achieve it. We're trying to right now, and hopefully we can get that done.
Gotcha. Then his next question is patent in progress for tech going live in Q3. Could you guys expand on this? Mod mentioned it the other day. He just edited the message.
Totally. So for us, kind of as far as kind of getting things like a patent and things of that nature, for us it kind of depends. Is it something we're doing, or is it something one of our partners are doing, or things of that nature? For instance, from a tracking software perspective, we're tapping into a lot of Tommy's connections there, which are fully patent technologies, but they're not patent through 100 days. They're patent through Tommy's companies that we're, like, for instance, Heated Details, or we're talking True Trace Technologies, or things of that nature. As far as us particularly patenting anything, we do have an LLC on this corporation itself, but we are not currently patenting anything. But from a technology standpoint, the things that we are working on from a real estate end and other ends will be patented. But right now, are we patenting anything? Not at this moment. But some of our partnerships from a technology side and some of the softwares we are creating will be patented.
Gotcha. All right, who is next? Serenity asks, With the current bear market, are you planning on increasing your project acquisitions or resurrections more than you were originally a month ago when 100 Days launched?
So this is another very interesting topic. Um, as far as resurrections, I could have never believed that we would get hit up for them as often as we are. At a certain point when we first launched, was getting hit up for a resurrection daily, sometimes multiple a day. Now it's slowed down to where I hit one every other day. But for us, at the end of the day, we could take on a lot of projects, and the way we did it with Raven was not our core model on how we to do that. With Raven, we integrated in them to our core tokenomics itself and things of that nature. But that's truly not the nature that we want to do it as. We have a full model for that we're getting into and really developing, and a whole platform for that. So for us right now, that was kind of an early step that we felt was in tune for both communities and beneficial to both, which is why we did that one in particular. But from a resurrection standpoint, for us, is we're kind of developing the platform for that and the ideology from a core model as to how that would work and how it's not just integration into us and our ecosystem, but it's truly integration to the 100 Days umbrella and kind of operating as a separate entity, but within us. And kind of as the whole notion of compiling other projects and making it so it truly helps our community and them. And for instance, a couple of the projects we got hit up by, the tokenomics for them was they had a lot of whales. And if we go ahead and integrate them into us, all of a sudden they become whales in Astro, which is the last thing we want. Then you kind of put your head is, how do you curve that? And for us, it's either you have to disregard those wallets, which is simply not fair for that party, because they just could be which would love that project. It's not fair to penalize them for being a whale. And the other aspect becomes is, do you cap them out at a certain point? That if you hold over X amount of tokens for that project, we can't integrate you, or we can only integrate those up to that threshold. And that's kind of a nature that we didn't want to get to as well. So for us, as we're focused on that whole model and kind of that whole flight of that we're working on. And once that's there, we'll be doing several resurrections, and maybe some sooner than others. But for us, is really being careful on them, making sure that the right community, the right project, and the right integration.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's super awesome. I think that's definitely a unique perspective that a lot of people or a lot of different projects don't have. Resurrecting other projects and trying to partner with as many people as possible to grow the fundamental idea behind 100 Days Ventures is definitely, I think, is a phenomenal way to get everybody and more people involved and at a deeper level as well. Serenity also asks, with the idea of bringing business to crypto, are there plans on bringing real-world business benefits to crypto holders besides the revenue stream, such as maybe a car wash starts taking crypto using the 100 Days partnership, and in return, the 100 Days holder get 10% of the car washes at that location?
Absolutely. I mean, these are things that things like that are something very integration is the payment mechanism and using Astro for that. That's something that we've had our eyes on, and it's the aspect of how much can we really do? Understanding that crypto is a global thing, right? Where we could you can integrate into this coffee shop here in Pennsylvania, but seeing that most of our holders are not in Pennsylvania, it doesn't benefit them. So for us, it's kind of finding the aspect of where it truly benefits everyone, but even if it's only localized to some spots, doing that as well. That is something that we are putting emphasis on. Right now, we've kind of been navigating, as I mentioned, is this whole crypto partnership and kind of helping our strategic partners with their tokenomics and things of that nature to bring them into our ecosystem as quick as possible and generate that revenue. But for us, as far as real-world benefits with these corporations, that is something that you can absolutely expect with time. It always depends on our partners itself, but sometimes it could just be Astro is integrated as a payment method, as simple as that, or you go to a gym and that gym is involved with 100 Days, and for that you get a cheaper membership or different things like that. These are all integration points that we will certainly be having with time.
Gotcha. That's super cool that you want to integrate even on a deeper level than just the partnerships and bringing in revenue for the holders, but actually have like in-person partnership benefits that you could get. That's super cool. I think the last question from the community, and I think this is a really good one to end on, is what is the long-term goal of the project?
The long-term goal for 100 Days is being that vehicle that brings real-world companies into crypto. Now, I know I keep saying that, but for us, is really being that on a functional side. where there's a cross benefit for always our 100 days, our Astro holders, and for the corporations themselves, where they're getting a revenue stream out of it previously that they never had the opportunity to, and our Astro holders are getting the cross benefits for that as well. That will always be our core focus. That will always generate our utility and our revenue, which will in tune make us sustainable. But for us, that will always be our core focus.
I like it. Yeah, there any other things that we haven't touched up on that you guys would like to mention before we wrap it up?
From my standpoint, I just want to say is the market is where it's at. But I think a lot of people understand that and see that, and it's just red on the streets, and we all freak out. But in the notion of this is when we build, this is when we grow, and this is the times that define us and make us who we are. That we are not the people that are going to give up tomorrow. We are going to keep working, keep building. Now, some things may take longer than others, and we'll continue to work as quick and as diligently as we can. But we are not going to stop, and that's always what I want to kind of put out to our community is we always see the room for improvement. We're always listening to you guys. But we would never stop growing and understanding the market sentiment, but more importantly, building revenue within that.
And for me, again, back to the education portion, if you go to our Git book, you will see there's a knowledge is power, education is power section in the Git book where I've started a beginner crypto series. With the help of Sam04, our visualist in that capacity, and just providing quick, like 10 slide or less visuals and education on how to build a MetaMask, how to bridge your networks, how to add blockchains, and basic things we've all had to explain or learn as we dove into the DeFi space. My intent with this is to kind of fast pace it so that way it's an easy resource for you to be able to get your parents in, get your cousins in, get your family friends in, etc., without having to go through the step-by-step process of having to try to figure out a way to educate or articulate the DeFi space to somebody who wants to get in as it eventually turns around. Or if you have never taken the time yourself to learn those things, I'll have a beginner crypto series. I'll have a protocol specific series just for our 100 days functionalities and features and things like that. But it's no financial advice, but I'm very big on education and want to offer, even as a free one here, the saying of bull markets make you money, bear markets make you rich. And while you're in this space right now, if you're wondering what you should be doing, real long-term investors in a bear market, whether it's crypto or stock related, are looking at it as discounts and opportunities to buy in small amounts. Let's say you worked an extra shift and you have an extra $500. You want to start building your portfolio. This is the perfect time to do it. Maybe take 10% of it. This is all non-financial advice, but take 10% of it and put it into a coin or stock that you believe in. A percentage of it, and do that a couple times throughout the week or throughout the month, and just build your portfolio. This is where you should be doing it at, not when the market is pumping, because you're not really going to get the returns. You're always buying at the potential high of a return in consolidation. So just things to consider. But that's what I want to spend a lot of time with, is just educating people. And having our platform have that available, because as we bring in these real world partners, we want their real world communities to understand crypto just as much as we do, so that they can be a part of the community as well. It's not just the revenue aspect of that community or that company that we want. We also want their community to actually become a part of ours. So having that platform there and having that educational bridge there as well too will allow for us to really expand when the time comes. So.
Yeah, I really love that educational piece. I do want to say, I'm really excited to hopefully have you guys on at some point again once you guys kind of start releasing some of these new plans.
Yeah, man, let's set it up. I mean, this has been I've been enjoying talking to you guys, and thank you to each and every one of you that came out to listen to us and stuff like that. I know right now, again, in the bear market, people aren't FOMOing in to catch the most recent alpha. They'll get it in due time. But for those that are taking the time to become a perfectionist in their craft or in their investments, that's the people who are really going to be able to propel themselves forward in the space when the time is right.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for coming on again, and again a huge thank you for everybody tuning in. Like Terry said, through the bear market. I mean, you guys are really the true backbone of our communities here, both with Cardinal House and 100 Days. That you guys are willing to still be an active participant in all of these projects, even when the market is rough. Like that is some true commitment that you guys have. So commend you all on that. And yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and thank you, Terry and JJ, for taking your time. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you
No
guys again for
problem.
having us, and anything you ever need from us, we're always here. We hope your community continues to grow, and we're here for it. So we'll definitely be back again at some point. But thank you all again for coming here, and we'll keep building and keep growing and keep doing something that's different in this space, and that is real and that is sustainable and that is revenue generating. We'll never stop from that mission. But thank you guys again so much for having us. Really appreciate it.